So, hello students, welcome to Unique Digital Academy. Today we will discuss demand and law of demand. आज आम डिस्कसन करिबा demand and the law of demand. Okay. So, before the class, that today's motivational quote: work hard in silence, let the success make the noise. What is demand? Law of demand, assumptions of law of demand, explanation of the law of demand, individual demand schedule, diagrammatic representation, causes of operation of the law, exception of the law of demand. Okay. So, for a layman, it is our psychology that when price of any goods and services declines, the demand for that goods and services increases. And when the price of the goods and services declines, the demand for that goods and services increases. So, it is our psychology. So, the demand means, for a layman, the demand means desireness for a good or desireness for a commodity or desireness or willingness for a product. And the demand becomes effective when we consider the two factors. One is your ability to pay, another one is your willingness to pay. Your ability to pay means you are able to purchase that product whatever price that exists in the market. And willingness to pay means you are interested for that product. So, demand means how much of a product or service people want to buy and are able to buy at different prices during a certain period. Done? Means people are able and they are interested to purchase that product whatever price that exists in the market. This is your demand. And the law of demand states that other factors remaining constant like your income, taste and preference, population, policy of the government, climatic conditions, these are your external factors. These are your other factors that affects the law of demand. So, other things remaining constant, our statement is that other things remaining constant, the higher the price of a commodity, the smaller is the quantity demanded, and lower is the price, the larger the quantity demanded. It means price and quantity demanded of a product, price and quantity demanded of a product. QD stands for quantity demand. Price and quantity demanded of a product, both are inversely related, both are negatively related, means when one increases, another one declines. So, price, P stands for price, and quantity demanded, both are inversely related. It means when price of a product increases, quantity demand for that product declines and vice versa. This is your statement of law of demand. Other things means your other factors, and that other factors includes your income, taste and preference, climatic condition, government policy. These are your other factors. The higher the price of a product or a commodity, the smaller is the quantity demanded, and the lower is the price, the larger the quantity demanded. In other words, demand for a commodity varies inversely with price. This is your demand and law of demand. Then what are the assumptions? Your every economic theory is based on certain assumptions. Otherwise, this theory is invalid. So, here these are the assumptions of law of demand. The first assumption is that the consumer is a rational person. For example, a drunkard. Law of demand is invalid in case of a drunkard. That person can do everything for wine. So, assumption is that the consumer is a rational person and the consumer always wants to maximize his or her utility within the limited money income. The second assumption is that consumer's taste and preference remains constant. Means your taste is constant and preference is constant. Income of the consumer remains constant. Your income level is constant. Price of related goods remains constant. Climatic and weather conditions remains constant. These are the assumptions of law of demand. Otherwise, the law of demand theory is invalid. For example, your other factor like your income. When income of an individual increases, your income is symbolically expressed as Y. So, when income of an individual increases, his demand for goods and services increases, and when income of an individual declines, his or her demand for goods and services declines. So, here the law of demand is not exist because income affects the demand of an individual. Climatic conditions. During the time of summer or summer season, the demand for cold drinks increases, and during the time of winter, the demand for cold drinks declines. So, your other factors that remains constant. Taste and preference remains constant, income of the individual remains constant, price of related goods remains constant. Price of related goods means your price of substitute goods and price of complementary goods. Substitute goods means tea and coffee, these are your substitute goods. If price of tea increases, the demand for coffee also increases. Car and petrol, these are your complementary goods. Bread and butter, these are your complementary goods. Pen and ink, these are your complementary goods, means the demand for one good that leads to the demand for another good. Climatic conditions or that weather conditions remains constant. So, these are the assumptions of law of demand. Then your explanation. The law of demand states a common experience of all buyers in the market. People generally purchase more of a commodity when it is cheaper and less of a commodity when it is dearer. Means when price of a product increases, when price of a product increases, the demand for that product declines, and when price of a product declines, the demand for that product increases. This is your law of demand. Next, demand schedule. Tabular representation of law of demand. It is the list of various quantities of a commodity which a consumer is willing to purchase at different alternative prices. Means it is your tabular representation or your table format. So, when price of the product is rupees 50, the demand for that product is 5. If the price declines from 50 to 40, the quantity demand increases from 5 to 10. Again price declines from 40 to 30, the demand for that product increases from 10 to 15. Again price declines from 30 to 20, the demand for that product increases from 15 to 25. Or if the price of the product is rupees 20, the demand is 25. If price increases from 20 to 30, the demand declines from 25 to 15. Again the price increases from 30 to 40, the demand for that product declines from 15 to 10. Again the price increases from 40 to 50, the demand for that product declines from 10 to 5. This is your tabular representation of law of demand, and here price and quantity demanded of a product both are inversely related. Okay. This is your diagrammatic representation. So, x axis and y axis, this is your point of origin, law of demand. So, x axis represents your quantity demanded of a product, and y axis that represents the price of that product. As the price and quantity demanded of a product both are inversely related, so that your demand line is sloping downwards from left to right, as price and quantity demanded both are negatively related. So, when the price of the product, let us say that the product is x. If the price of x is OP1, the quantity demanded is OQ1. If the price of the product declines from OP1 to OP2, then the quantity demand for that product increases from OQ1 to OQ2. Again the price of the product declines from OP to OP3, the quantity demand increases from OQ to OQ3. If the price of the product is P3, the quantity demand is OQ3. If the price declines from increases from P3 to P2, the demand declines from OQ3 to OQ2. Again, if the price increases from OP to OP1, again the quantity demand declines from OQ to OQ1. Here, if price increases, quantity demand declines, and if price declines, quantity demand increases. So that your price and quantity demand data of a product both are inversely related, and the demand curve is sloping downwards from left to right. This is your diagrammatic representations. So remember that demand and price of a product both are directly related. If the demand for a product increases, price also increases because the producer is happy and the production increases. And if the demand for a product declines, price also declines. Are you getting my point or not? So that demand and price both are directly related, but price and demand, quantity demand, both are inversely related. You have to remember that. Okay. Then the causes of the operation of this law. First one is law of diminishing marginal utility. Why law of demand operates? What are the reasons behind the operation of the law of demand? The first one is law of diminishing marginal utility. Then what is utility? Your utility means once satisfying power of a commodity is known as utility. Once satisfying power of a commodity is known as utility. The one satisfying power of a commodity is known as utility. So, what is marginal utility? Your marginal means your additional. So, marginal utility means your additional utility. When you consume more and more of a product, your utility declines. For example, if you consume one piece of apple, your utility is 10 utils, unit of utility, utils. 2 pieces of apple, that declines from 9 utils. 3 pieces of apple, that declines from 9 to 8 utils. 4 pieces of apple, that declines from 8 to 7 utils. Are you getting my point or not? So that when you consume more and more of a product, a time will come, and after that time you are not interested to purchase that product and you are not interested to consume that product. So, due to that law of diminishing marginal utility, we will discuss details about your utility, cardinal utility, ordinal utility, theories of utility, law of diminishing marginal utility, law of equimarginal utility, so in detail. So, but you have to remember that utility means one satisfying power of a commodity, and marginal utility means your additional utility, and law of diminishing marginal utility means when we consume more and more of a product, our utility declines. This is your law of diminishing marginal utility. Diminishing means your declining utility. Because of that, the law of demand operates. Second one, substitution effect. Substitute goods. Tea and coffee. Tea and coffee both are substitute goods, and if the price of tea increases, the demand for tea declines, and at that time the demand for coffee increases, and because of that the law of demand also operates. Then change in number of consumers means when price of a product declines, those who are unable to purchase that product during high price, now they are able to purchase that product because the price of that product declines, and they are the borderline consumers, and because of that reason your law of demand operates. Then exception, what are the exception? Your first one is given good. In case of given good, price and quantity demanded of a product both are directly related. We will discuss details about your types of goods and what is good, what are different types of goods. Okay. So, do not worry for that. Remember that price and demand both are directly related in case of your given goods. Another one is your prestige goods, means when the income of one individual increases in order to show status in society, their demand for luxury item increases, conspicuous consumption increases. At least people think that these persons are rich persons. So, because of that prestige good, the law of demand is invalid in case of prestige good. So, these are the exceptions of law of demand. Okay. So, any doubt? Please comment in comment sections or that comment box, and if you like the class, please share, subscribe our videos. Okay. So, thank you so much.